and welcome back to another special edition of Thompson's Comic Corner. Not only do I have one co-host in George, I've added a third tonight and or today, whenever the fuck you listen to this. I don't know. It's night when we're recording this. So I have George from Shortbox Summary, and I also have another awesome co-host that's always here because why not? Because it's fun here. Is Chad from the Last Comic Shop podcast.
Woohoo!
Welcome,
Thank you for
boys.
having me.
Oh, thank you for coming. It gets lonely here sometimes when you try to do this by yourself.
I couldn't imagine.
Oh,
I'm thankful I have Andy as my taskmaster to keep me showing up every week and giving me my assignments left to my own
Oh,
devices.
I'm so
Ugh.
jealous, man. Shortbox Summary needs an Andy so bad. It's
I,
falling apart
yeah.
over here without an Andy.
I recommend
I
everybody get an Andy.
yeah, I mean, hey, listen, if you want to listen to Andy on my show and see how awesome he is with me, we have a really great episode that has over 10 views on YouTube. That's awesome. With me and
Woo!
Andy when we interviewed Tony Fleece. So shameless plug there.
Hell yeah, brother.
So what is that, boys? What book are we reading today? Well, reviewing. We already read it probably twice, three times maybe. I'm on my
Yeah.
third.
We are reading Children of the Round Table. It is written by one Tom Taylor. It is penciled by one Daniel DeNicolo. It is inked by Daniel DeNicolo, colored by Rain Barreto, lettered by Wes Abbott, and edited by Christy Quinn. And I learned something about this book earlier today because I was like, oh, I don't quite remember where my back issues are. I should just read this on DC Universe Infinite. It's been long enough since it came out. It is not on DC Universe Infinite, which is super duper frustrating, but it's not on there. According to Reddit posts I found, and we all know don't trust Reddit any further than
I
you can
was
throw it, but
gonna say it has to be true if it's on Reddit.
it has to be. It's the front page of the internet. Creator-owned book that is owned by Tom Taylor and Danielle DeNicola. So that is why it is not on there. I assume just some weird licensing arrangement.
Yeah, that's crazy to me though. I did not know that DC did licensed or creator-owned books through their traditional imprint. Like I know they did Vertigo creator-owned stuff, but
Well, it
Yeah,
makes me wonder because didn't he just Tom Taylor just signed what last year? Like a full deal with just DC, right?
yeah, re-upped it. Yeah, well, he's
Yeah,
been
like it
exclusive since like 2019, probably.
it makes me wonder if he had something in that deal to where he could have a creator-owned book.
yeah,
And like,
because well, he'd done creator owned stuff through like Boom, and he did Marvel stuff in the 2020s too. So
yep,
he hasn't been like totally exclusive.
Hmm.
yeah,
But
he did all new Wolverine, which was all right.
yeah,
He
Yeah,
did what was didn't he do an Ultron story too?
kind of. He did. Was it Marvel Dark Ages?
Dark Ages, I
Yes.
remember. I was a little let
Yes.
down by that one.
It's been so long since I read it. It looks really pretty. I remember that.
Yeah.
Just like
Someone
this
like
book. It's
someone
really
like
pretty.
challenged a Tom Taylor opinion on a character. I want to say it was Storm, and they like used a panel from Dark Ages. I was like, this is how you write Storm. And he's like, bro, I wrote that fucking book. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, but
uh
that's the thing with Tom Taylor though. He gets right to the heart of the characters. Like I've always
Yeah.
said, like some of the stuff he writes, I shouldn't like it. I shouldn't enjoy Injustice. But man,
Mhm.
it's such a good book because he
which
knows
funny
how they
story
work.
about that. That was originally just supposed to be a one-off. It was not supposed to get everything that came after it. That's not at all what was supposed. It was just literally supposed to be a video game tie-in, and Tom Taylor said, "Hold my beer. We're going to take this and go the extra mile," and it became very successful.
That, and then they went back to it when he was writing Superman,
Yep.
or I guess Superboy. I forget who he was going as at that time, but like a little Jonathan Kent when he came back to Earth. And they went back to the Injustice era. And this is I reviewed not the most recent Detective Comics, but the second most recent Detective Comics from Tom Taylor. And I like got to this conclusion at the end of it where I was just like, Tom Taylor's so good at like making simple, like making stories simple,
Mm-hmm.
which is like it sounds almost like an insult, and I swear I don't mean it that way, but like these are big, dumb, complex things that are happening all the time. And the way that Tom Taylor breaks everything down, it's just like it's like a puzzle that he solved where it's just like, no, this is the solution, and everything just flows so easily from point A to point B to point C, where like everything makes like a perfect logical sense. And I just think that's like such a immense skill to have as a
Yeah.
writer, because not everyone has that. I don't have that as a speaker right now, where I'm making the most coherent point, but like he can do it on a monthly basis with 6 different titles or however many he's writing.
Yeah, and that's the storytelling of it. Like for me, it's about his character work. Like he understands what makes a character tick. It's we've had Mark Waid for a generation or two. I feel like, and like Tom Taylor out Mark Wade's Mark Waid at this point for me. Like
Oh yeah.
he just gets it. We were talking about the Deadpool Batman crossovers with all the Spider-Man Superman stuff going on. That story he wrote with Nightwing and Wolverine being Nepo babies.
It was
Mhm.
With
awesome.
the
It was
yeah,
great.
just he gets it.
Oh, which hey, speaking of the Superman, Spider-Man, another shameless plug right here. Me and George, we just reviewed that book last week. Still on YouTube. Great review on that. Really good book. Way better than Batman Deadpool books. Just
Hard
Ah,
saying.
agree. Hard agree.
Yeah.
yeah, I think overall, yes. I feel like the Deadpool Batman each had like one or two stories that were great. I feel like
Yeah.
Spider-Man Superman or Superman Spider Man was consistently pretty good across the board.
Higher floor, lower ceiling.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'd
Yeah.
agree with that. I also think the Batman Deadpool ones, I know we're getting off topic, but like we're talking about Tom Taylor, who wrote, I think, stories in both of these books. So it's
Yeah.
like, um,
Yep.
I also think that was like a holy shit, we can't believe we get to do this. Like, let's go crazy, let's take some risk. And then they like kind of like slowed down the pace a little bit with Superman, Spider-Man, and they were like, oh, like we have a deal in place, like we will get a chance to do this again. And they it seemed like less hurried, it seemed less frantic, and it seemed less like, I don't know, I'm thinking about like the Al Ewing Guardians of the Galaxy story from like the Batman Deadpool or Deadpool Batman, I can't remember which one. And it's just like, oh man, like I don't know if like this should have been like in the 8th one of these books. I don't know if I would have put this in the first one, but looks like they were just trying to fill stuff. And then in this most recent one, I'm like, okay, there's like a higher confidence, I guess, in the stories here.
Yeah.
There you
It
go.
was good. I enjoyed it. Ain't gonna lie to you. I loved it.
Yeah, good stuff. That was a fun review. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Yeah. See, look, and then you're back again. So
Yeah.
yeah. The Thompson Comic Corner, I almost at the corner. That would be awful. The Thompson Comic Corner welcomes anybody. I have so I know that we got to talk about Tom Taylor and the Children of the Round Table, but have you guys ever listened? Because I'm actually really excited about this. So nobody knows about this till now. So have you guys ever listened to a podcast called The Iron Age of Comic Books?
No.
We're just gonna
We
drop this
are
now.
we are friends with them on Twitter or Blue
Yes.
Sky.
So
I thought there was only 2 comic book podcasts. I thought it was just the Last Comic Shop and Zach's Comic Corner, and then occasionally, like quarterly, you'll get a short box summary, like an earnings report. I thought there was just those 2 shows.
There's only like 5 that are like good. The rest of them are like meh. And
Okay.
I'm in the meh category, so that's fine. But we are going to be reading John Byrne's Fantastic Four run
Oh,
I'm going to be reading with the Iron Age. Now they do 1985 to 2000 comic books, but to get them out of their comfort zone, we're going to do something that's a little bit before that, which is completely fine with me. I've never read it, but I've always seen those covers and I've like watched so much shit on YouTube about John Burns. I'm like, brother, I gotta read it. So
Good luck, man. I tried starting that run, and it's like I was like, I'm just gonna read like 10 issues a day and just burn through this. And I'm at like 1 issue a month. I will go through it. I'm like, this is dense shit. Like they're great stories, like really enjoyable, super fun. It feels different, feels classic. Like it feels like a Twilight Zone sometimes. Like it's just like a very special tone, I think, for the Fantastic Four. But that shit is dense, man. That is like the Faulkner of comics, where it's just like, holy shit, I need to take a nap after reading this page.
uh, yeah. I've only dabbled with a couple issues of the Byrne Fantastic Four run, but the people that know Fantastic Four swear by it. They say that's the best stuff since Stan and Jack.
Is
Um,
that an Andy book?
oh, Andy loves the Fantastic Four Byrne stuff.
Okay.
I it would always make Andy mad. Avengers and FF both were books that like I'd read, a little bit here and a little bit there, and I'd be like, yeah, but usually they just suck. And he's like, they don't suck, and he'd start talking about how great the Trial of Galactus is and all this other stuff. I'm like, sure,
And you're
I
like,
guess.
Dr. Druid
You-
is great character.
I
Yeah.
think that's the main story that we're reading. Because I believe that's what he was talking about was the Trial of Galactus. So, yep. So
Yeah.
that,
Like I said, the
Congrats.
people that know say it's real good, so I'll believe
Well,
them.
Well, we're gonna find out, and everybody else that listens to the show, which I mean, hey, the whole 5 to 10 people, I appreciate it. I love you guys every day. So today we are reading Tom Taylor's Children of the Round Table. Now, Chad, I'm putting you on the spot. Tell us
All
a
right.
little bit about it. Just, you ain't got to do the whole 10 cents because that is trademarked. We're not allowed to use that. So here we're just going to use the 2 cents.
All right, so they're a bunch of kids that are on a soccer team, and after the game one day, they're going to go out on a quest adventure sort of thing, and a big meteor lands, kaboom! And they're like, "What the heck is that?" And then what happens is all of a sudden, one of the kids pulls out the sword Excalibur, and the other kids, after the meteor blows up, they all get bonked with different weapons, and it turns out those weapons are empowered. They are possessed by the spirits of Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. So these kids are going to become the modern Knights of the Round Table and go up against Arthur's evil son, Mordred. But first they have to train and come together and take down all the things in their way and protect their grandmothers. And there you go.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, nailed it.
Yeah.
Chad, I want to ask you this question first because we're talking a little bit before the show. Zach admitted not super familiar with Arthurian legend, right?
Right.
My gateway into comics was 2 things. It was Greek mythology, which I was absolutely obsessed with as a kid. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. I think I
Nice.
just saw that Disney Hercules movie and I was like, oh, that's really cool. What's more stuff like that? And then I just got to like, what was it called? Like the Dorius book of Greek myths, and they had a Norse myths, and I was just reading every myth. And then I got into comics and I'm like, oh, this is just mythology that happens every month, right?
Yeah. I like that stuff so much. My last name is Smith.
Hell yeah. The other thing that got me into comics, my dad used to read Prince Valiant to me because that was something that his dad would read to him when he was a kid.
Oh, nice.
Any experience with Prince Valiant whatsoever?
The Hal Foster stuff, no, that's also something that predates my comic knowledge.
Okay.
But yeah, like you, I was big into the mythology stuff growing up. And George, you've experienced this in conversations with me before, where it's like I've read a lot of the Excalibur era writings. There's a bunch of different stories, and Gawain and the Green Knight and all that other stuff. But once I read things, I absorb the stories, but I don't necessarily remember them all. So
Yeah.
whenever I come to something like this, where like they're making references to things, like eventually I'll pick up on that. And it's in there somewhere, but right on top of mind, it's all new to me.
Yeah.
That's
Nice.
better than what I got, dude. I got none of that.
Oh, dude, and there's so many great Knights of the Round Table comics. Like what's the one with the Dan Mora art?
Oh, Once and Future.
Once and Future.
Which I know we don't do recos here, but like, God, that book is so good, man. That book is incredible.
Oh yeah,
Love it.
very horror tinged. But there's Camelot 3000, which had the Brian Bolland art. That was a big thing,
Mhm.
like in the 80s.
I just got introduced to that by quite possibly the best comic book podcast out there, minus Last Comic Shop, which is Rob Liefeld's. And he did like a whole episode on Camelot 3000.
Oh yeah, and that's another one where the spirits of Arthur are embodying other people.
Did Chad make you Liefeld pilled?
No. See, hold on. Now, as a person and as a podcaster, I think that he is great for the comic book community.
Mhm.
But as a writer and as an artist, he's mid. I'm sorry.
I like the idea of like the manosphere of podcasts, and there's just like the Robosphere of comics.
Like I like Rob Liefeld as a person and as a podcaster, even though he does come off as a dickhead sometimes. But that's fine. I mean, the man has done enough in the industry to come off as a dickhead a little bit.
Yeah,
He's
a
earned
lot
the
of my
right.
best friends are dickheads. It's fine.
Yeah, Stanley
It's,
Kubrick was a
Yeah.
dickhead, really good at his job, you know.
yeah.
So
No, I still feel bad because I will defend Rob Liefeld for reasons I don't entirely understand. Other than I feel like he gets bullied on the internet by a whole bunch of nobodies.
I mean,
Like,
I'm teasing you, but like I'm the same way about Bendis, where I'm like, leave my guy the fuck alone. You
yeah,
know?
like all right, you made a foot joke. Let's move on. Like,
Yeah.
see, I don't really have a like a character like a creator. I mean, I like Tom Taylor, and I don't think that he has any bad books in my opinion.
Mhm.
And but he also doesn't get a lot of hate, really.
right. Well, he seems like a genuinely like decent dude.
Oh, he gets hate, but he gets hate from people that you don't respect.
Right.
I think that's the difference. Where it's just like anyone who hates him seems like a piece of shit the way that they hate them and the reasons that they hate him for. Whereas
Yeah.
like other people, it's like, oh, I respect this person's opinion and they're dogging on this dude. So like there might be something to it. But it's
Yeah.
like but it's always like, Bongwater69 on Twitter says Tom Taylor's a hack. It's like, well, I'm not gonna take the opinion of Bongwater69 with too
Yeah.
much weight, you know.
Well,
Yeah,
you read
What?
this book, so like you read this book, and everything. Granted, it's a story from another time, but it just seems so original. And I know that it's not. I mean, this story's probably been told 100 times. You know what I mean? Like I get that. But
Mhm.
like Tom Taylor gives you something, and like you can't help but like at the end of the issue, you know what's coming next, but you just got to keep going. Now, granted, yeah, I read this like 3 times, and I really enjoy it, and I highly recommend it if you have a young reader, in the ages of like 9 to 13 that would understand this, because I believe that comic books are awesome. So there you go. But the book is so easy to read, and I feel like all of his books are real easy to read. They're real easy to follow. You know what I mean? Like it kind of, I don't want to say he like dumbs it down for you, but for me, it's real easy to understand. And, maybe he is dumbing it down, but it works for me.
No, and that's what I was saying earlier. I'm just like the appearance of simplicity when it's like, oh, there's the dude always has 10 balls juggling in the air at all times, and he makes it look so simple. And like I mean that in as the highest possible compliment. Like
What?
this feels like an 80s movie, right? Like this feels like a type of Goonies, you know. And,
Yeah.
and that's
I
why
think
I
of it
loved it.
in terms of comic art. Think of a guy like Alex Toth or Chris Somney or those guys who are like there's elegance in the simplicity.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you're getting with Tom Taylor. And Zach brought this up too. If you have younger kids around, this is a guy who, at least his artists, like Tom Taylor's stories are great, but the art in here is definitely tapping into the zeitgeist of what the kids are into. It's got that touch of manga. It's got the big action. It's got it's got quiet moments and little jokes here and there, but like
And badass
everything
grandmas.
and badass grandmas, yeah, but everything in this book feels big and impactful. And so yeah, if you've got a younger reader that you're looking to like, hey, give this a try. This is the book. This is a great first book for kids.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if everybody knows this, but Chad is a teacher. Now, was this something that you would recommend to your children to read, like at school? I feel like this would be great.
Absolutely, and it's one of those things too where I always love the books where it's like, oh, I'm learning stuff
Yeah.
because going back to George's conversation about the mythology, that's actually part of my history as a reader. Like as a kid, I didn't like to read because all the books were about plucky detectives and like whatever. But I started getting into comic books, and by the time I got into school, we started getting into mythology and Shakespeare and stuff like that. All of a sudden, my hand was going up in class because I read these comic books and I had backgrounds in some of these myths, and that made that stuff easy for me. And so this is one of those books where like you read this and sure, you're picking up on a fun action story about these kids, talking to their weapons, but also you're picking up on Arthurian legends, right? And you're getting the social commentary mixed in there. I think it hits in all the parts you want it to hit.
Yeah, I feel like so in your main story, the two best friends, which is Fell and Connor. That's her name, right? They call her Fell.
Yeah, Felicity.
FDL. Yeah. They are the perfect characters for Lancelot and Arthur. They're two best friends, and something's eating at Connor, and he's like trying to, not show it to his friends, but at the same time, he's like pushing away his friends, which is kind of the same thing that Lancelot did to King Arthur. And it's really like, when you pick up on that, like it strikes different in the story. Like you can see it and like you can relate to that. And I don't know, man. I really like this book and the fact that like you could pick this up and understand exactly what's going on, even if you're not into, I didn't know jack shit about King Arthur, but like I understand that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, the
So
interactions are so human, even down to the weapons, where you have Arthur and Lancelot in weapon form, still giving each other the business.
yeah,
There's still that competition there. Like that stuff is great.
yeah. And then, the ending, so spoiler, the ending battle is she's battling her dad, Fel. I like calling her Fel because that's what they call her at first, Fel. I love that.
Hmm.
Um, the main villain's her dad, which it,
And
his
sorry, what
character,
job does her dad have?
he is the president of the United States of America, which
Yeah, what the
really,
fuck, man?
yeah,
Like,
I was just about to say like that part kind of threw me for a loop. I was like, did he really have to be the president? If any gripe I have, it might be that.
oh no, so I said what that was not a gripe for me, where I'm just like, oh, this is about as big a stakes as you can get, where it's like, oh, the secret conspiracy about like your dad that is kept hidden. And it's like, oh, he knows like how the world really works. He's the leader of the country that like these kids live in. It's fucking insane. And like it really is like a power fantasy for kids that I think is awesome. Like it really reminded me of like Marvel had this imprint called Tsunami, and there was like a bunch of books that spun out of that. But it is like this all ages thing that like takes it really seriously. And so I'm thinking books like Sentinel, books like Spider-Man Loves Mary Jane, Young Inhumans, like a lot of Sean McKeever books actually, where they were just aimed at a slightly younger audience, but like didn't sacrifice stakes, didn't sacrifice drama, didn't do anything really differently. It just like wouldn't have the horrendous shit that was happening in the main 616. Like there was no like, oh, what happened to Gwen Stacy? Like that stuff didn't happen.
Right.
Like that was avoided. And like I thought this book did a great job and like really, really amped up every issue in terms of what these kids were up against. I thought that was like super impressive how like it felt ridiculous but never stupid.
No, no, it never feels stupid.
No, but
And
that was
like
the thing
that's
for me
awesome.
too. Whenever you have those kids' books, like there's a difference between a book that's an all ages book like this, or like Spider-Man Loves Mary Jane,
Hmm.
or the all ages books that are like the Marvel Age Spider-Man, where like kids can tell you're dumbing stuff down,
For
and,
them, yeah.
and it feels watered down and it doesn't feel authentic. And like, although I did have a complaint. Like, none of the kids give Phil any of the business because her dad's the president. You think somebody would have mentioned that? Like, that would
Yeah.
that would have been a thing on the soccer field. But
I mean,
but
he did get replaced by a dog though. So just saying.
at the house,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I love that part where she's like, Mom replaced you with a dog. What? I
that
love
was
that part.
great. Uh, was that better than when the one kid gets hit in the face with a stick? And they're like, "These weapons chose us," and he's like, "I got hit in the face with a stick," and it's like, "Your weapon chose to hit you in the face with a stick."
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
And like, for like the first like issue and a half, I'm really thinking that this kid got the short end of the stick, pun intended, man. Like
Mhm.
that all it is just a stick. And it turns out to be a wand, and
Yeah.
now he's
It's like, oh, you might actually be the biggest cannon of everyone here. Yeah.
yeah, I loved it. And then at the end, his stick said good job. And he's like,
Yeah,
it talked. It talked. That's awesome.
Yeah. I want to talk about the art really quickly. I love the energy of it. I'm a little torn. And like if anyone has been reading my reviews on AIPT Comics, um, I love like the Silver Age look. That's like the house style right now at DC. Like I do think it's like a more classic interpretation that ends up feeling timeless, as opposed to like, when a book came out in 1993, when a book came out in 1983, when a book came out in 1963. And this is like the current house style, I feel like, is trying to be like a blend of all these different eras that make it feel like it could belong to a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them. And this art is just so bubbly and so refreshing. It's just, it feels like a cartoonist at work. And I don't mean that as an insult, but like it actually feels like you're inhabiting a world. Like this is made by auteurs who are trying to tell a specific story in a very specific way.
Well, just like the story itself straddles the line between you have these, plucky kids and these Arthurian legends, and it manages to thread the needle. The art does this something similar in the fact that it straddles that manga energy, and it's right alongside with modern comics on the shelves these days, and it fits, with one foot in each world. And so, no, I agree. There's definitely, that cartoony energy to it, but that's definitely a feature.
Yeah.
Not a bug.
No, I'll tell you what, you know how they always say that like if you go into a bookstore, so if you go into like mine's a Books a Million, a BAM.
Yeah.
You go in there and you see how many shelves they have of like the manga books. It's probably 10 deep, both sides. And then you go to like the regular comic books, they have like one little section. I feel like if DC put this in that compact, this story right here, this in a compact the same size as manga and put it on that shelf, dude, kids are gonna buy that. They're gonna want it.
Yeah.
And
I
it would
mean,
translate too, because like the
yeah,
panels are big enough and exciting enough. Like plus you would get
right.
color, which you don't get out of the traditional manga most
Yeah,
times.
like I honestly feel like that's an opportunity that they should jump at. And I mean, they're kicking ass with the compact books too. I mean, I have probably like 20 of them. That's not an exaggeration. It's nice.
Mhm.
But you have the opportunity to reach. See, I'm all about like I have an 8-year-old, so like I'm all about the kids, man. So you have the opportunity to get this in kids' hands, and I feel like this is a really good story for them to like learn how to read, learn, understand some shit in life. Like it's genuinely good.
Yeah, it is. It's so good that I'm actually like, the only thing I'm mad at about this book was that like it wasn't part of something. And when I say that, I mean like we talked about this being like a creator-owned book, but like it's just published by DC outright. Like the way even like Marvel back in the mid 2000s, like they started that book Criminal, like the Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips book, but it was like under Marvel Icon. And like they started Kick-Ass, but that was under Marvel Icon, which was like a creator-owned label at Marvel. And it's like this should have been the launch of an imprint for creator-owned books, because like Lord knows that like DC, I think, is running circles around Marvel right now. Like I think their books are
Yeah.
better. I think they're more organized. I think they're more interesting. I think they look better, and I think they make more sense as to like, why did Batwoman get a book? Oh, it makes sense why there's a Batwoman book. Why did Deathstroke get a book? Like, oh, you read issue two. Like, it kind of makes sense why there's a Deathstroke book. And it's just like everything feels like it's saying that I'm just like, why wasn't this the launch of a creator-owned imprint? Why wasn't there like immediately a follow-up series, not from this creative team, but like a different creator-owned project that just like kept the momentum going? Because like this was a really exciting book. I think it started, I think the cover date was December, so like that means it probably came out last September, last October was when issue one came out. I can't remember. But it's just like, damn, dude, like I want more books that feel like this. And I thought that was a missed opportunity.
Yeah. And I like obviously this ends kind of on a bit of a cliffhanger. Like I want news on when the next round
Yeah.
is gonna pop up. But yeah, and DC always does so well with their imprints. Like I think a Young Animal, the Gerard Way and
Yeah.
Doom Patrol and all that stuff, or even I think Bendis had his own imprint for a while, those Wonder comics, which there
Those
were
were
some
great.
great
Yeah.
books that came out of there. Yeah, the Wonder Twins, Zach. If you need another book aimed at like young teens, Wonder Twins is Chef's
Dude,
Kiss
that
magnifique.
was great. Naomi was great.
Yep.
Dial H for
Dial
Hero
H.
was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've actually heard really good reviews about that on the Dial H for Hero.
So yeah, no, it was all good stuff. But I agree, George. Like it would be wonderful because DC is handing Marvel its lunch right now with between the absolutes and even just in their universe proper. But And I think it's because of the strength of their artists and their creative people. They're allowing creative people to be creative, whereas Marvel right now feels very corporate. We're going to sell you these 5-10 issue series, because it's going to fit in a trade, and I don't know.
Yeah,
But
for the first time since it happened, it really feels like they're owned by Disney. You know?
yeah, it really does. But yeah, no, this would make the start of a great imprint. But for right now, my big concern is just like, when's round 2 coming?
Yeah.
Oh, it better be coming soon, boys. All right,
I mean,
well,
the way it's paced, it is like a TV show though, right? Where it's like, okay, you get this book, 6 issues, like here's like a little season of something, and then season 2 comes out next year. You know, like they are. I don't think that that's why they're doing it, but like it, I'm frustrated too. But it does inadvertently make it feel a little bit more prestige, which is a really annoying side effect for me personally because like I love this book. I wanted to read issue 7 immediately after finishing issue 6.
yeah, it's definitely we better get a sequel to it. They better not just leave us on a cliffhanger,
I don't think they
which
will.
which that's happened to me a couple times. There's been a couple books. It's like, oh man, and then nothing happens.
Yeah, man, Poison Ivy just had issue 43 release. You know, like DC trusts its creators. So
Yeah, so
I'm
you're
assuming
saying there's a
they'll
chance.
I'm saying there's a great chance. I don't know when, but again, like maybe hopefully it is because like they were doing stuff kind of like that. Like that book Primer was like 2 or 3 years ago, which was like I buy all the young adult stuff just because like I've got nieces and nephews and I'm constantly looking for stuff I can send them because I like sending them toys, love sending them books, and then having like them give me a book report. You know, that's like my favorite job as uncle is English teacher. And Primer was like a great book for me to give my niece. This would be a great book to give either my niece or my nephew. And like, dude, like, gonna need a fucking volume 2 to send them to. Like, come on, guys.
Well, I was going to say, I know we don't do recommendations, but you could always track down from Boom Studios. There was 18 issues from the same creative team, uh, for the most part, Tom Taylor and Danielle DiNiccolo, but 7 secrets, 18 issues, lots of twists and turns. There's 1 or 2 spots with foul language, but otherwise it's pretty good YA approved stuff. So
All right,
Foul
boys.
language, I'm even able to forgive though, because like I feel bad saying this because I'm the only one here who doesn't have kids, but I feel like I remember being a kid pretty well, and I feel like what kids want is like they're constantly seeking out stuff they're not ready for to see if they're ready for it, right? Like I remember
yeah,
watching Pulp Fiction when I was way too fucking young to watch Pulp Fiction, you know, like
I've never
I
watched it.
oh man, it's a great movie, but like it's the perfect movie for a 15-year-old to watch because it's just like dangerous and weird and sexy and distinct and it's just it's a vibe and like I can't imagine watching a movie for the first time in my 30s but like 15-year-old me like waiting for my parents to go to sleep so I could like watch something that I knew was inappropriate that I knew they wouldn't approve of like that was the best.
yeah. That's
So
one of my favorite English teacher stories. When I taught high school, I had a kid who'd never read a book, and he was proud of that. And it was back, and well, like poker was a big thing at the time. And I handed him the book that they made the movie 21 out of.
oh, Bringing Down the House by Ben Mesrick, yeah, that book
Yes.
fucking rips, yeah.
And I was like, dude, this book is all about poker, and it has at least 37 F words in it. Give it a
Yeah.
shot. And he read a book, and I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm in.
Oh yeah.
I went from that into Catch Me If You Can by like the Frank Abagnale book. It's awesome. Yeah. God, eighth grade was great. Read both of them.
Nice.
Man, we used to play euchre in high school. Love that shit. Our history teacher would play it with us. Now you talking about it? Yeah.
There you go. I couldn't even spell euchre.
Me neither. I think it starts with an E.
Or
I'm
pinnacle.
Yeah, I'm a professional writer, technically. You put a gun to my head and ask me to spell euchre, I say pull the trigger. Like I'm just not gonna do it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it starts with an E. All right, we gotta do the reviews. It's pretty easy for me, baby. That's a 5-star.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, George or Zach was telling me, George, you made him revamp his rating system.
Yeah, it was confusing.
I
even
like
got
that.
confused one time.
I liked that it didn't make a lot of sense to me. I was like, all right.
Yep.
I mean, to be fair, you guys change your rating system every week on Last Comic Shop.
That's true.
Thanks, JA, for keeping things straight. It was a little confusing. Also, like we started reading the countdown to Infinite Crisis books, and it felt weird to do anything but compare them to each other. So we were waiting to finish Villains United to have
Yeah.
a taste of all four of them, and then
Which we're getting there.
do
We're
a
getting
comparison. Yeah.
Nice.
All right,
Uh,
Chad, what do you rate it?
So yeah, no, I think we've sung the praises of this a bunch. I think this is a 5-star book. It's good to give to a young adult reader. As an adult reading it, I enjoyed it, and it reminded me of lots of things about the Arthurian legends. And it has that action and that manga style that all the kids are into. And I'm like, hey, maybe it's not so bad. So even as an old, I really enjoyed it. So yeah, 5 stars.
All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for joining me tonight
Yeah.
or day. Again, whenever you listen to this, we're recording at night, so fuck it. We're just gonna refer to tonight. As always, as I end the show every time, hope you guys have a great day, night, whatever time, and peace out, Cub Scouts.